Delighted to get a few minutes with Viraj, who is a HID Firmware Engineer at Apple. Viraj, thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, hi Viraj. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really glad to share my experiences about my job search and help other people.
Awesome. Let's start with a quick introduction. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hi. So I'm Viraj Savaliya. I recently joined Apple. I completed my master's from Arizona State University. I did my master's in computer engineering. I directly came here after my bachelor's. So basically, I didn't have experience, and that was really tough. And other than my job search in the technical world, I would say I love to go for hikes, play cricket, soccer, any sport outside.
That's awesome. And when did you graduate from Arizona State University?
Yeah, so I graduated this year. That is in May 2021.
Got it. When did you start searching for full-time opportunities while you were in college?
Um, so for my master's, so I started my job search in my third semester. That was in fall 2020.
Okay.
That is 2 semesters before my graduation date. And initially, it was quite slow, but I do feel that you definitely should start a year before and be prepared well with what you want to put on your resume and everything.
Mhm. Got it. So you started almost a year before your graduation date. Uh,
Yes.
how did you initially approach your job search? Again, going back to the fall of 2020, when you were just
Mhm.
starting, just kicking off your job search. What was your
Yeah.
initial approach for job search like?
So initially, the mindset was whatever I get, I'm fine. I just want a job. So I was focused on a couple of things. One was there's a kind of norm that you should get a referral. Referral is very helpful. So I was connecting with a lot of people around on LinkedIn, talking with different people working in company, asking about their experiences. I kind of made a template about how I will interact with people because when you want to get a referral from someone, you should first interact with them, get to know them, because they want to know if you really are interested in this role and if you generally want to work at the company.
Yeah.
So that is one of the thing I was focusing on initially. That was one thing. The another thing is the very important thing was to keep applying.
Mhm.
That was the thing I had heard from seniors because when you start your job search, I was quite nervous where to go, how I would do. So talking with seniors on how they did before, that's why I'm glad to share my experience as well. Uh, so getting to know what mistakes they made, getting to know how their approach was, where they were applying, and how they were practicing or preparing themselves. So talking with seniors would be quite important.
Mhm.
Other than that, talking with your colleagues.
Okay.
So there are a lot of people applying with you as well. So they will have good experience as well, what is working for them right now. Because other than knowing what previously worked for some people like seniors, what currently works, that is also important. So you should be in touch with people who are focusing the same job role, talking with them if something is working, something is not working, helping each other out
Mhm.
for a job. So that would be really important. I would say, yeah, these
Got
are
it.
some of the points. Yeah.
Got it. Looking back now, would you have changed the approach you took for searching for jobs?
Um, So the path, I would say, my journey from when I started and landed a job, uh, I focused on one thing that I will choose what is working best for me. So that's how I followed. So as I mentioned about referrals, so
Mhm.
initially I was very much focused on referrals, making connections and all. That is quite important. I do agree,
Yes.
but I would definitely looking back, I would say myself that focusing more on referral on other things. If someone will help you to get a job, then you should focus more on your resume.
Yes.
How you could update your resume if something is not working, or how more you can add to your resume by what projects you can choose, because you still have time. There is a lot of time. Even there is like the graduation date is nearby. There is a lot of time. I would so I got my job after my graduation. I didn't have any job when I graduated. So in a couple of days, everything changed. I landed up getting three jobs instead of just finding one. So things will change, but you should not focus on one thing like someone help me, someone get me a referral that will definitely earn me a job. More focus should be given to on your own resume and your own application and figure out what is working well. That would be the best thing.
Got it. What did you do to get the interviews from the companies you applied for? Was there anything in particular that you were doing to actually get the interviews?
um, so as everyone gets rejections, I was very much used to getting rejections initially. I would say for the first 3 or 4 months I didn't get any interviews
Okay.
since the time I started.
Yes.
So I saw that something might be wrong. So that's the thing, that if you're not getting something, you should think like there is something wrong. I need to change something. So change is very much important.
Yes.
So I went on my resume. I saw how I'm writing on my laying out my projects. Are they getting delivered what I want them to deliver to the like the interviewer or the person who is looking at your resume? So I changed a couple of stuff. Like this basic content is basically same, but how you deliver it, that's very important. So I went on looking on my resume how I could change. Another important thing which was on my mind is what projects more I can add on my resume,
Mm-hmm.
because since I didn't have any experience coming from directly for masters from bachelor's,
Yes.
so main thing which will add to your profile is the projects, and you should take up any voluntary work. I would say, why voluntary work? I mean in your field. I also did a voluntary internship. That was my main reason, that I get any experience on my profile. I
Mm-hmm.
get to learn things. The
Yes.
focus should be learning. That's how you will add to your resume as well as to yourself.
Got it. Got it. So basically, you understood that in the couple of months you were not getting an interview, so you kind of reflected
Yeah,
and saw what was the reason why it was not working, and then
yeah,
you looked at your resume and you said, okay, I want these points to be delivered, but is the reader understanding what I'm wanting them to
yeah,
understand? And you kind of did that, and then you also mentioned that you want to focus on learning, right? So
yeah,
doing voluntary projects, because that shows
yes,
passion, that okay, you're extremely passionate about a particular thing. You are
yeah.
volunteering your time to get involved in those projects, and that's how you kind of like build your resume, and that's how you eventually got interviews that you got.
Yes,
Nice.
true. One more point on that is by I mentioned particularly about projects because there are a lot of people who go for doing like certifications, a lot of online courses, and they would put it on their resume that I did courses, I did this course, I know this thing. So in my experience, what I've observed is that the interviewer or a person who will be looking at your resume, they won't see that okay, you did this course, you know this thing. They would know by the project you did
Yes.
and were you able to imply or practically do it. So that's
Yes.
why I focus more on the project part.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Looking back now, would you have done something different to get the interviews from the companies you applied for?
Um, so there is one thing which I can think about, and that is a lot of times we are very bored in the application process.
Mhm.
You're applying a lot, you're getting rejections,
Yes.
and you just click, okay, next, save, next, next, apply. The same copy paste. But one thing I would definitely look back and can add is like observing the job description, the profile, and trying to add few keywords to your resume, looking at it, and taking a little more time on a single application than just applying. Uh, that would help because that will kind of beat the bot.
Yeah, that's such a great advice. I mean, because everyone is applying, right? So are you willing to put in a little bit of more effort to
Yeah,
make sure, okay, your resume reflects what the
yeah,
job description is wanting, and then from there you potentially increase your chances of getting an interview. That's such a great advice. How did you prepare for the interviews that you got?
Um, so particularly in my field, that is the firmware, I would say coding is one of the important things. The languages focus are C and C++. So the very first thing would be, the basics of it. For someone like a fresher like me, they won't be expecting that you can do like huge code in a short amount of time.
Mhm.
But the basics are very important, I would say. So that is one of the things which I kind of tried to work on, that at least I'm able to get my basics right. Because you will definitely not be able to get all the questions done in practice, which they will ask you.
Yes.
If I talk about the where I gave my like got selected the job at Apple, there
Mhm.
was no question which I saw before in any of the rounds.
Yes.
So there is not going to happen that you will be able to have a question which you have already solved. So basics comes important in here, so that you can use your basic skills and develop on the code that is asked.
Absolutely.
And another important thing for particularly my field is uh, reading a lot more about the theory, because hardware is quite important in my field. So continuously keeping like learning theory, reading, revising it, that was the key, I would say.
Got it. Looking back now, would you have done something different to prepare for the interviews that you got?
Um, so um, as I said that I kind of had the thing like what worked. I was trying to figure out what is working and changing. So
Yes.
one thing which I would like to advise me to start early was to, for any company which I'm applying, uh, once you get start to get interviews,
Mhm.
then in that particular phase, you should do like a good research about what kind of questions are important for those company,
Yes.
and practice those questions before you have your actual hour of the interview. So
Got it.
practicing, doing a little research and being prepared about what kind of topics or domain they would be focusing on. Talking more with seniors about it if they have given interviews for the same role. So
Yes.
that would be really helpful if I started early.
Got it. Pivoting towards some company specific questions,
Yeah.
how did you come across your specific role of HID Firmware Engineer at Apple?
Um, so at the later stage of my job search, I kind of figured out that focusing a lot more on portals like LinkedIn or Indeed uh, would not be beneficial in comparison to if I focus more on directly on that job portal.
Mhm.
So at the later stage, I went on with a uh, mindset or the process like I will do applications directly through the portal,
Okay.
and do I would be able to find more openings over there.
Mhm.
So I was just applying through the portals of each company instead of using any LinkedIn or Indeed or any other uh, sh- application portals.
Yes.
So yeah,
Got it. So that's how you actually came across this role. You were going through the Apple's career portal and you
yes,
saw this role, HID Firmware Engineer, and you just applied from that portal.
yes.
Got it. And how did you get the interview for this role?
It was nothing out like a miracle or something. It was just I applied to the
Just an
portal.
application? Okay.
Yeah.
Then you got just like a response from the hiring. Uh,
Yeah, I got a call from the hiring manager.
okay.
They scheduled the interview rounds, and then
Right.
it progressed.
Got it. What was the interview process like?
Um, so basically, there were 3 rounds.
Okay.
The very first one was a one-on-one interview with the manager.
Okay.
Uh, that was more on the resume and basic questions. Uh, and then there was like a homework assignment
Okay.
where I had to solve 2 questions. That was the second round, and I have like 48 hours to do that.
Okay.
And then there was the final round where I had 8 interviews.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was quite rigorous. 8 interviews. Luckily, I was able to break the entire round into 2 days, so 4 each.
Correct. So like what were those interviews like? It's like half an hour interviews with different people, one on one, or like you had like a panel interview. Like what was that like? The 8 interviews that you had in 2 days.
Yeah, so the 8 interviews were like 1 hour each. Each interview with a new person,
Okay.
one on one, and those were separated into different categories. Uh, uh, I guess three were based on firmware.
Okay.
One was on software.
Okay.
One was on Q&E, and I don't remember all, but yeah, it was basically separated into different categories.
Got it. But they were all sort of technical interviews.
There was just one interview with the HR and all technical, that's
And
seven
all technical
technical.
interviews.
Yeah.
Got it. So you had 8 interviews, 4 on one day, 4 the next day,
Yes.
with different people, one on one, 1 hour each,
Yes.
and they're all mostly technical except for one.
Yes. All were technical and it involved coding and technical questions. Yeah.
Got it. And how long after your last interview did you get the offer?
Um, so after the final round, I got the offer in 3 days.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was reached out by the hiring manager within 3 days.
Got it. Any last piece of advice for any international student who come to the US, pursuing their undergrad or master's degree and is seeking a full-time opportunity?
Uh, One thing which I would definitely say is never underestimate yourself. Keep the faith that you will get a job because rejections hurt. It's it's actually the same for everyone. Everyone has gone through that. Rejections are a part. Even if I apply right now, I'll get rejections. That's the part of it. Don't get disheartened by getting rejections. Have faith that you'll definitely get the job at some point. And more importantly, other than that, keep practicing and keep applying.
Absolutely. That's a great advice. Viraj, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.